Hi, I'm Berta Jo from Spanish Fork Senior Citizen Center. We just wanted to check in with all of you and let you know that we're thinking of you and we miss you and we love you. We're hoping that this little program that we've put together will entertain you and bring a smile to your face. And always remember, when we reopen, we want you to come back so we can always surround you with people who care.
Attention, hut. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm Heather Lyman, nurse with Maple Creek Home Health and Hospice, and today I thought I'd talk to you just a little bit about what I do as a hospice nurse. There's a lot of funny ideas out in the community about what hospice is. So the bulk of my patients are just people that are getting older. I do have some patients that have a definitive terminal diagnosis like cancer, but most of them it's just a little harder to pinpoint exactly what's going on with them. So I tell people, if you have a loved one who's just declining, who is not able to do some of the things that they were able to do 3 or 4 months ago, call us. That there's things we can do. If you have a patient who, or a loved one who has lost a significant amount of weight in the last few months, or even over the course of a year, call us. If you've got a parent that is eating less than, if they're just eating a bite here and a bite there now, call us. If you've got a loved one who is having frequent falls, or if it's just harder for them to walk, just even a few steps, call us. That's a good time to have a nurse come evaluate. If you have a loved one who is just, you might notice that they're winded or short of breath after just a few steps, that can be an indication that they're eligible for hospice. So it's broader than people think that it is. So what comes with hospice? What help do you get with hospice? You are entitled to an aide who will come out and help you shower, or they'll get you in and out of the shower safely. That's the time when the most falls happen. That's also when you're the very most vulnerable. And so those aides can really be helpful in getting patients there and back safely. And a lot of times I find that their caregivers are 85 years old too, and we don't want both of you falling in the shower. So those aides can be really helpful. They can also do some light housekeeping, like they can vacuum, they can do dishes, they could make the bed, things that are just harder as you get older and weaker. And I will tell you a secret, I actually think the aides are even more helpful than the nurse. They really are just there to do whatever they can to help. As a nurse, I go out and I will see a patient 2 or 3 times a week. I will take their blood pressure, their vitals. I just make sure that everything is looking the same as the week before. And if I do see worsening symptoms or new symptoms, then I can get in contact with the doctor and I can have medication sent straight to your house. And so you don't always have to go through the whole ordeal of going to the doctor over and over and over again. It's kind of my job to go out and just keep a good eye on my patient. If I felt like my patient had a cold that was starting to develop into pneumonia, I can call the doctor and I can get an antibiotic so that hopefully we can kind of nip it in the bud and not have that turn into something worse. I tell patients' families all the time that it's kind of my job to. People think that hospice nurses, that they just come out at the very end and they kind of hold your hand and let you pass. And that's certainly part of my job, but really the bigger part is it's my job to keep you feeling as good as I can for as long as I can. So I had an aunt who was an RN for years and years and years, and she was actually instrumental in bringing the very first hospice to Utah County. So this is in my blood. I'm passionate about it. I love what I do, and I really would like to get the word out there that you don't have to wait till it's the bitter end to call. Like I said, just, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed with caring for a loved one, if you're struggling and just feeling like you need help, call, because there's a lot of things we can do to ease that, to take some of the burden off the caregivers, and it's a good service. It's a free service through Medicare. You don't have to pay anything, and a nurse can come out and do a free evaluation, and she can tell you whether your loved one is eligible for hospice or not. So I tell people quite often, if you wait till that last couple of weeks, then you've missed out on so much of the help that's available through hospice service. So you can't call too early, but you can certainly call too late. So if you have somebody that you feel like is eligible, or you're wondering, or you have questions, please feel free to call Maple Creek at 801-798-5333, and we'll have a nurse come out and do an evaluation. And as always, stay safe. We love you guys.
Hey seniors, nice to be with you today. My name is Valerie Evans, and I'm here to do a little dancing with you. And I know some of you are probably like, I'm not a dancer and you're just blowing me off. But stop, wait. There's been so many studies done that say how good dancing is for the brain, and it can even help prevent dementia, which, you know, we all want to prevent, right? So you're not in public, no one's watching you. If your spouse is around, wait till they go to the store or something, I don't know. But you don't have to look good. The whole point is to get up and get our bodies moving and get our brains working. So we're gonna do a dance, and I hope you guys have a fun time. Front, front. Now we're gonna add some arms. But if the arms are too tricky, just keep with the legs. Bring the arms up. If you want to add a little more pump to your step, feel free. had some fun.
It's time for Joe!
Okay, I'm ready. Tell me a good one. Okay, so someone gave me these today, so I hope you enjoy them. There's just about 5 little short ones. First of all, give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and he's going to spend a fortune on gear he'll use twice a year. I love that.
Yeah,
It's probably very true.
It's extremely true.
Okay. A woman saw an electrician walking up her drive and rushed to the door. "Why didn't you come yesterday?" she barked. "You were supposed to repair the doorbell yesterday." "I know," the electrician replied. "I rang 3 times. There was no answer, so I thought you must be out." Well, kind of dumb. Anyway. Okay. A few more. A man goes ice fishing for the first time. All of a sudden, he hears a loud voice. "There are no fish under the ice." He ignores it and moves to another area, cuts a hole, and tosses his line in. Again, he hears the booming voice. "There are no fish under the ice." The man looks up nervously and asks, "God, is that you?" "No, this is the rink manager."
Yeah. A true hockey joke.
Oh, yeah. Okay, one more. A man was lost in the desert, moving slowly and barely able to stay on his feet. Suddenly, at the top of the hill, another man on a camel appeared with a number of neckties draped over his arm. "Water," the first man cried. "I don't have any water," the other man replied, "but I can sell you a nice tie for $15. "I don't want a tie. I want water." "Okay, 2 ties for $25. "No ties," the wanderer exclaimed. "Just tell me where I can find some water." "Oh, all right. Go to the direction I came from, in a straight line from here. You'll see a small palm tree. About 50 yards past the tree, you'll find your water." The camel walked off. The wanderer followed the directions and eventually found himself facing another man. "Water," he said hoarsely. "Do you have water?" "Plenty," the new man replied. "Thank goodness. Can I have some?" "Sorry, but we don't serve anyone not wearing a tie." No tie. Okay.
Sticking the cows. Oh, I'll bet you some of you guys know how to do this. For a cow to eat succulent, fresh alfalfa is a lot like an old man eating 3 bowls of chili beans. Both create gas. Gas is very uncomfortable if not let out. People know how to get rid of it before the great buildup, and young men have you pull their fingers, put. Women run and hide, but old men just cough and let it rip and then laugh about it. My husband used to say, "Did you hear that spider bark?" I'd never heard that before him. People gas is just plain unsociable. And the stench lingers because of an enclosed space that people are usually in. Now, animal gas can be lethal at best in animals, with multiple stomachs especially. Gas builds up in a cow's stomach and within less than an hour can cut off the lifeline of air. To guard against the bloating process, we make sure the cows eat dried hay before going on to a succulent pasture. Sometimes a cow will break through the fence and eat until dead. On the farm, we had a stainless steel tube that one could push into an area near the pins, where the stomach is near the skin, and let the air out. This little apparatus was not always within reach when most needed. However, a good farm boy always carried a pocket knife for anything from whittling away time to sticking cows. Can you imagine doing that? Oh, I cannot. There's one here that we got to talk about, especially because it's time. I marked it. Oh, here it is right here. The old swimming hole. Down along the western edge of our farm flowed a canal for irrigating fields. These irrigating canals became one of the most important objects of our farm community society. In the winter, they became ice skating rinks. In the spring, they were places for picnics and just plain pondering. In the fall, they had ducks on the water and pheasants in the bank bushes. But in the summer, they were for swimming. And maybe fishing if you didn't care about size or variety. The canal swimming was the best. About halfway down the field, we had a dam created by large planks sectioned across the canal. Planks held the water back and raised it up to a level where it would flow out to lateral ditches, thus supplying the water to our farm and the surrounding farms. The excess water would flow over the top of the wooden plank checks and into an eroded area of deep water, some 60 by 100 feet. The water would then eddy around and around to form a neat swimming pool. The best of all was the waterfall itself. The water falling over the plank checks and over a slab of concrete below created a waterfall with an airspace underneath which was undetectable by someone not knowing the nature of the falls. We would enter under the falls from one side and let our body turn with the turbulent pressure until we reached the center, then kick inward and be in a space where water was not. We could see out from under the falls, but unwary visitors could not see in. We had a lot of fun with this neat situation. One time, when a relative visited from out of state, my neighbor friend and I pretended to slip off the concrete slab into the frothing, whirling water, only to hide underneath and watch our guest's expression and anticipation. At first, our friend was calm and smiled from ear to ear, then after about 3 or 4 minutes became panic-stricken. He was yelling, probing, and then dressed to run for help. At that moment, we surfaced into the current and had a good laugh. The underwater falls hiding place was very valuable when members of the opposite sex would appear on the scene. Down in the field swimming holes, we didn't wear swimming suits. We never got caught unless we were near the falls and couldn't hear the girls come to the pool. Generally, girls would yap and squeal, making their oncoming presence known. We would then climb out and dress. This did not happen very often. In the evening and after chores, I'd take my trumpet out the back door and blast a signal to Lynn, who lived down at the crossroads. I knew what time he was still out feeding something. In the country, evenings, voices and trumpets would carry a good distance. From the top of the haystack, you could even hear people yelling at each other, such as, "Supper! Henry! I told you!" However, a shrill note on the trumpet meant, "Meet me at the old swimming hole." In a few minutes, I'd run through the field and meet my friend for a late evening swim. This has been so fun, and I've had a great time reading these to you and sharing them with you. Thank you for listening.
Okay, today we're going to be discussing more about energy work, Qigong. We're going to be creating more energy in our body through the exercises that we're going to perform. One of my favorites is spreading arms. You want to breathe in, hold that breath, breathe out. Breathe in through your mouth or through your nose, and breathe out through your mouth. And the further you stretch, the better. Now we're going to go up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay, again, we've created that energy ball. You should be able to feel a little bit of it. One of the fun things to do is take your hands and like this, and look through between your thumbs and your fingers, and you should be able to start seeing that energy you've created. That's your aura. Almost looks like cellophane over your fingers. Some people will see color in that aura. You can transfer that energy to your eyes, or your ears. Okay, let's go for a boat ride. Envision you're down at the Salem Pond. We've got a rowboat. We're going to row the boat. It's a slow ride, so we're going to row, reach forward. You're breathing in, pausing, breathing out. Breathing in, pause, breathing out. Breathing in, pause, breathing out. Now we're out in the middle of the lake, we got to get back to shore. So we're going to change feet, this foot forward. Now instead of coming this way, we're going to go up this way. So breathing in, okay, one of my favorite exercises is a flying bird. Just a slow flying bird. So you breathe in, hold that breath, use that air, let it out. Okay, let's settle that chi that we've created again.
Hey, this is Pete, and Verna Joe wanted me to tell you that if you need a copy of the Senior Center newsletter, they are available at the Senior Center in a box next to the front door. So please come on by and pick up a copy. Jokes, 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 jokes. Go, Beverly!
Okay, so twice a year we change the clocks for daylight savings time. And twice a year, my normally punctual assistant arrives late to work the Monday after we do so. I finally had to find out why. Do you have a problem remembering to spring forward or fall back? I asked. Oh no, she said, pouring herself a cup of coffee. What gets to me is staying up until 2 o'clock to change the clock.
I wonder how many people do that.
I don't know.
I think about it every year.
I don't.
I think about it for that long, then I change the clock.
Why do they say 2 o'clock anyway?
I don't know.
Why didn't they make it 10 or right at midnight or something?
Yeah, let's start a petition.
They needed a good line for a joke. Okay. In a Detroit church one Sunday morning, a preacher said, anyone with special needs who wants to be prayed over, please come forward to the front by the altar. With that, Leroy got in line, and when it was his turn, the preacher asked Leroy, what do you want me to pray about for you? Leroy replied, preacher, I need you to pray for help with my hearing. The preacher put one finger of one hand in Leroy's ear, placed his other hand on top of Leroy's head, and then prayed and prayed and prayed. He prayed a blue streak for Leroy, and the whole congregation joined in with great enthusiasm. After a few minutes, the preacher removed his hands, stood back, and asked, "Leroy, how is your hearing now?" Leroy answered, "I don't know. It ain't till Thursday." Oh, yeah. Okay, this is the last one. 3 old ladies are sitting around a table playing bridge and bragging about their sons. "My Freddie," said Margaret. "Everyone should be so lucky to have a son like my Freddie. Once a week, he brings me a huge bouquet of flowers. He's constantly bringing me out to restaurants to eat. If I so much as hint that I want something, the next morning it's on my doorstep." "That's very nice about your Freddie," said Gertrude. "But with all due respect, when I think about the way my Sammy takes care of me, it just can't compare. Every morning, as soon as I wake up, he greets me with bacon and freshly brewed coffee. Every lunch, he comes over and cooks me a gourmet lunch. And every evening, he brings me to his house for supper. He truly treats me like a queen." "Well," says Barbara, "I don't want to make any of you feel bad or anything, but wait until you hear about my Harry. Twice a week, he pays someone $200 an hour just so he can lie on their couch and talk to them. And who do you think he speaks about at those prices?" asked Barbara with a big, excited smile. "I'll tell you who he speaks about. All he speaks about is me."
The good son.
The good son. Yeah.